3, 2, 1. That's the one. Hello, and welcome to Office Hours Stag Radios podcast, where we take a step beyond the lecture theatre and into the lives of the lecturers that inspire our uni experiences. Today I'm joined by
Dr. Charlotte Mathieson.
Woo! So to start off with, I just wanted to take a step away from the lecture theatre, take a step away from the publishing and all of that. What was the one thing about this subject that hooked you and convinced you this is what I want to do?
I think for me, it's just that pure love of reading and really wanting to communicate and convey that with other people was absolutely at the core of it. So being able to be in a classroom and everyone's read the book and you're all really excited about it, that's for me like the core of what it's all about, and really taps into where it all began for me. I think when you're teaching things and you've known books for years and years, you forget that the students are coming to it for the first time, and it's so lovely to be able to kind of capture that excitement and go back to that again. And I always try and remember that when you step into the classroom, is like it's your first time coming to that book, and that always brings something new for me, so I really enjoy that.
What was sort of like one theory or one thing that a student said that was like, oh my god, that's like changed the way I think about a book, if there has been one?
I don't think I could pin it down to one thing, but I think it's just those kind of little moments when a student notices something and it can be like a really tiny detail, or it can be something a character says or something that happens, and it just changes the way you think about it. So yeah, I always really enjoy those moments.
So again, speaking of like this spark, I feel like there's one point in a lecturer or like an academic's life where they're like, it just took over, everything started out. So what was one research project that absolutely like consumed you?
Yeah, I think I would probably say my current project is the most consuming. It's been the sort of longest duration in that it started as a footnote in my PhD and grew into this project that I'm now writing a lot about and a lot of articles and books about. And this is my current research is on suntanning history and the history of sunscreen. And it's really inspired me because it's a topic that just connects with so many people. So it doesn't matter who I speak to, academics, family, friends, people that have no idea what I do. Usually everyone has a connection to that research topic. So that's been something that has just really been very enjoyable to work on, and also has just really led me into lots of unexpected avenues, and my mind's always looking out for little snippets related to it, so that's really nice. So it's taken me probably more into contemporary sort of thinking, more than, because I'm a historical researcher, I work on the 19th century, I moved into the 20th century, and now there's various contemporary connections, and I hadn't really experienced that in that way before, so that's been really interesting. And also I think just the different perspectives that people bring to it, and speaking with public audiences, hearing people's memories, hearing their engagement with it is something that's really new, so that's been really nice.
Is there something specific that everyone kind of says throughout the thing? Because I can imagine it's quite similar.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, so they think of like their holiday memories or memories from childhood is really common. So I do this exercise, for example, where I get people to smell sunscreen and think about what it might, and instantly like there's a smile on someone's face and they're like thinking of their childhood. So it's those kind of things that I think, it just really fascinates me about the research, that I can kind of connect in that way, and then hopefully I can offer a little snippet or some interesting fact that's unexpected for people's own sort of understanding of the topic. So yeah.
What was something that you grew up, like a style or genre, what was something that you grew up that was like, that's what I like, this is the kind of genre and things that I like to read?
I think for me, I was actually thinking a lot about kind of literary theory and conceptual theory, and I think sort of one of the intellectual turning points for me was when I was a PhD student and coming across theories about space and mobility for the first time, and that's become sort of the topic of my research. But I remember when I first encountered it, it really was this sort of quite formative moment in just opening up my thinking in a new way about how we can think about those sort of big concepts of the world we move in and then think about them in literature. So yeah.
How do you feel like there's a kind of community, not just here at Surrey, but also in general? How do you think that affects your writing?
I think it's a really important thing. It's really generative and productive. We have a really great community on this corridor and among our immediate colleagues, among our area within the school, and it's really helps to sort of shape what we're doing. And there's always lots of advice sharing and lots of collegiality, which is really lovely.
You mentioned about contemporary literature and how that's kind of shaped your thing. What was like one book that in your past or in your future or anything that's kind of like shaped you and the way you think?
That's a really great question. I had a lot of difficulty with this question. I think for me, the kind of turning point, probably the moment when I realised I wanted to be an academic, even though I didn't really know what that was. It was reading Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice, as a GCSE student. And that for me was when everything started to click and I thought, oh, I absolutely love this. This is what I want to do. So I still love Jane Austen, lots of other authors as well. But that was really the sort of, the turning point moment for me.
A classic, absolute classic. I think we're living in a time where every discipline is kind of shifting with like AI and ethics and globalization. All these different things are coming into play. So what is one thing that you think about our field that is going to change? Like, how do you think these things are going to affect literature?
Yeah, I think for my field, sort of 19th century studies in particular, digitization has been a massive shift. It's just completely changed what we can access. Having archival resources, things that you used to have to travel really far and spend a lot of time studying, and being able to access those was quite a sort of laborious process. Now being able to kind of go on the internet and find that archive has digitized those collections and it's just there at my desk. That's such an amazing thing. It's really changed how I'm able to teach as well, because I'm able to bring those resources into the classroom in a new way, and that in turn has a really nice reciprocal benefit, because when you're teaching and researching the same things, it all kind of comes together really nicely. So yeah, the digital impact has been really, really positive in that respect.
How do you find that it affects students, whether that's in creative writing or in critical writing? How do you find the shift in that?
I think it's really fascinating, because they're resources that probably you're not necessarily going to come across yourself. You're not going to sort of pick that up in the way that you are a novel, but being able to then access and read them as part of that module, it's going to open you to those new perspectives, give those different sort of viewpoints that maybe hadn't thought about before. So that's been really positive and really well received.
The other concept that I love is that this thing of process isn't linear. So it's not just one continuous line, it's up and down and we're always changing. There's loads of failures involved, and especially in our module and in our discipline, we're always getting rejections, just as much probably as we're getting accepted into things. So what's one experience or project that didn't work out for you in the way you wanted, and how did it help you grow? Yeah,
I love this question. I'm a really big advocate of the fact that failure is part of what we do, and we have to talk about it more. We have to sort of learn from it more. So, you know, my sun tanning project is a great example. I had quite a few funding bid failures with it before I got a successful bid, and that has been really formative in helping me not only to sort of work on the feedback and do all the things you should do in terms of sort of adjusting the project and sort of responding to the feedback that you get, but also the really valuable thing that came out of that process was just really reiterating to me my own sort of belief and value in the sense of value in the project, because I've always really believed in the project and I've always known there's something really good within it. So when I got those rejections, it was sort of almost confirming, like, I know I really want to do this. I've got to kind of work to communicate it in a different way or get it across in a different way. But it's sort of, hanging on to that sort of integrity and value of the project. It sort of solidified my belief in that, even though I was getting the rejections, because I knew that actually it was better sort of shaping and communicating it differently. So yeah, that's been really, really helpful in a way, I think. Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said in that sort of perseverance and that sort of sense of kind of learning what you can from the experience. You get feedback so much, you get lots of things to work on. It's sort of part of the process. But you know, if you get a rejection when you come to apply for jobs or something else in the future, it's just thinking, you know, you've got that experience of working with feedback before, and you've got to really just kind of persevere and not let that one experience knock you.
Just to kind of like round everything off in a way, what is, if only we could speak to our younger selves, what is one thing that you, or one piece of advice that you would give to maybe a fresher version of you or a PhD version? What would you say?
Definitely to my undergraduate self, I would say just have a little bit more fun, just relax, it's going to be okay. I was, definitely a very sort of hardworking and anxious undergrad, and you know, it's okay, you can have some fun as well, so that would definitely be it.
You have a question from Miss Becky, and she asked, what if you could do a PhD in something that is separate from your degree or what you studied, what would you do?
That's a brilliant question. I genuinely don't know what I would have wanted to do apart from this, so maybe something in a slightly kind of related sort of humanities discipline, but I have no idea actually.
And what is a question you would give for the next lecturer?
That's a good idea. I would like to know, what is your best writing tip?
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Office Hours, and thank you for joining me on today's episode. I've been your host, Sofia Varela, and thank you so much for watching Office Hours. Stay tuned next week. We'll do all the following, do the sharing, do the liking, do all that kind of YouTube stuff. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. That was amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Cut.